With me now, former special counsel to President Bill Clinton and Fox News contributor Lanny Davis. And from New York, with reaction to all of this, Fox News radio guy Alan Colmes. Both of you, great to see you. We're also awaiting a press conference from Democratic leaders, including Harry Reid. All right, Lanny, let's go back to your days in government and your days in the White House. And obviously, the president and his top aides are watching this play out tonight. Some of this is parliamentary, probably more details than people want to know. But nevertheless, this is a dramatic moment for his presidency, for the Congress, and for our country. What's running through his mind?
What's the exit here? If the Senate passes something and the House says no and the clock ticks to midnight, I think there's probably a serious look at the 14th Amendment. I'm not sure what other alternatives there are, if that's what it comes down to, Laura.
And Alan, we're looking at the poll numbers. We talked to Ed Henry and James Rosen about this earlier. The president, Gallup has him at his lowest point, I guess, 40% approval, and he's losing ground among generic matchups now with generic Republican candidates. Yeah. This is not maybe helping the Republicans, this debate, but it's also not helping the president.
Yeah, but it's hurting the Republicans more. The problems that Republicans have is when they actually name a candidate, that's when they're in trouble. The president will do well once this is resolved. In fact, especially if he takes strong action and if he has to invoke the 14th Amendment, I think people will see, because most people want this solved. They want it done, and they want a deal. And if the Republicans are going to be seen as the ones with this Boehner deal, they're busy doing something. This is a big waste of time. It's not going to pass. Dead in the Senate, never be signed by the president. This is surely an exercise in getting John Boehner to try to keep his job. That's all this is about. It's got no way of passing whatsoever.
John Boehner to keep his job. I mean, I think what we saw was an actual plan, not one plan, but two plans.
No way
arrived at the Senate, and the Senate rejected it. But that's the process, is it not, Alan?
No way a balanced budget amendment is going to pass. Boehner was busy negotiating with the Tea Party when he should have been negotiating with the president and Democrats. He was going in the wrong direction. No way this is going to pass. It's not going to be a balanced budget amendment.
So, Alan,
they're wasting our time. They're wasting our time while Rome is burning.
Actually, yelling over me does not make your point any more persuasive. But I do think that, when you look at the polls, most people think we should have a balanced budget. They try to do that in their own homes.
But not a balanced budget amendment.
They don't think it is an unreasonable thing to discuss this and have this front and center. And Laura, whatever you think about the Tea Party, they actually, I disagree with a lot of this strategy myself, but you got to hand it to them. They got this injected in this bill, and now it's in the hands of the Senate, and they're going to use it as some kind of shell vehicle, right?
Dead.
Laura, the problem is that the balanced budget is not its timing, and there's never been a balanced budget amendment that could pass any Congress. When the Republicans controlled Congress, they couldn't pass it.
I didn't say it was possible. We're talking about the tactical advantage and who's actually looking like they want serious structural reform. We know, Lanny and Alan, do we not, that this president would never be talking about this issue of whether to raise the debt ceiling or not, or whether to cut spending or not. He wouldn't be talking about this if it weren't for these Republicans who held firm. I mean, do you disagree with that?
Well, I disagree with what the country is seeing in Washington. They're not seeing what you're saying. They're seeing tactics at the expense of the public interest. And I think there's disgust with party leadership on both sides here, Laura. And for them to bring up a balanced budget amendment to challenge their own speaker, embarrass their own speaker at the very last minute when we're really faced with a national calamity if this country goes into default, I think is very short-sighted and is hurting the Republicans, in my judgment, a lot more than it will the Democrats in the long run.
It's also hurting the markets. It's hurting the stock market. It's hurting 401ks because they're dithering, and there's so much uncertainty created by these Republicans.
Alan, do you think the president has led in this crisis?
Yes,
really led consistently?
This is a right-wing talking point that somehow the president hasn't led. He has tried time and time again to reach out, bring people to the White House, negotiate a deal, have a larger deal so we don't have to do it again in 3 months. Of course he's led.
Well, I think there's a lot of Democrats who actually think he hasn't led, including Joe Manchin.
Not this one.
Senator from West Virginia.
He's a conservative Democrat in a conservative district.
Oh, heaven forbid. All right, we appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much, Lanny and Alan. We're going to await this press conference from Democratic leaders coming up here on the O'Reilly Factor. You do not want to miss the drama. Stay with us.